We continue now at the top of Daf Kuftes Vavam and Beis in Meseches Bava Metzia. This is Bava Metzia Daf 115b. On the previous Amud, Rav Huna said that the pasuk, when it says Ki nefesh chovel, that adds on a prohibition to rechayim v'rochev, meaning to say, let's say a person takes a millstone as a collateral, then Rav Huna would say you're going to violate taking the millstone, but additionally you're going to violate the law which says Ki nefesh chovel, that it's like you're taking as collateral the person's life. And Rav Yehuda says that's not true because Ki nefesh chovel l'shar devarim hu da'asa, that's actually coming for other things. Let's say you take other things that are ochel nefesh besides rechayim v'rochev, then there's a lav for that. Rashi explains l'shar devarim v'lav la'osofe lav arechayim v'rechev. It's not in order to add a negative commandment if you take a rechayim v'rechev, if you take the lower or the upper millstone, to rechayim v'rechev ksiv bereisha, because rechayim and rechev, that's already written in the beginning of the pasuk. V'tzdarech ki nefesh, and so therefore when it says in the pasuk ki nefesh, l'ravos shar kelim shalochel nefesh, that comes to say if you take other vessels that are used to prepare food, then there's going to be a lav for that. And the Gemara continues, Leima Abaya v'Rava beplugsa de Rav Huna v'Rav Yehuda kamiflgi. Let us say that Abaya and Rav in the following machlokas are arguing about the same issue as Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda. Again, Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda here, who are arguing about ki nefesh uchovel, that Rav Huna says that is included as an added lav upon rechayim v'rochev, and Rav Yehuda says it's an independent lav. That's the same machlokas we're about to see by Korban Pesach between Abaya and Rava. The Amar Rava, because Rava says, Achal no lo kashtayim. Let's say a person eats the Korban Pesach, but instead of roasting it, he eats it raw. So according to Rava, you get two sets of malchus. Mishum no, number one, you get a set of malchus because it's raw. Umishum ki im tzliesh. And also the pasuk says, it says, Al tochlu mimenu no, uvashel mevushel b'mayim. Don't eat it raw and don't eat it cooked in water. And then it says ki im tzliesh. You have to eat it only roasted, so you get two. Number one, it's no, it's raw. And number two, you're violating ki im tzliesh, that it has to be roasted. And similarly, mevushel, let's say a person eats the Korban Pesach cooked. Lo kashtayim, you're going to get two sets of malchus. Mishum mevushel, number one, it's cooked, so that's a violation of what the pasuk says. Umishum ki im tzliesh, and also again, you're violating ki im tzliesh. And similarly, na umavushal, let's say the person eats it both raw and cooked, so then loka shalosh, so then it's going to be three sets of malchus. Misham na, number one, he's violating because he's eating it raw. Umisham mavushal, he's eating it cooked. Umisham lo sochlenu ki im tzliesh, and then again, the additional lav of don't eat it unless it is roasted. That's how Rava understands. And Abaya says, ein lokin alav shebechlalos, you don't get malchus for a generalized lav. Rashi explains, alav shebechlalos means misham lo sochlenu ki im tzliesh. You're not going to get a set of malchus because of the violation of don't eat it except roasted. Techayil na umavushal, because really, when we say don't eat it anything except for roasted, that already includes na and mavushal. V'ein loken ela al na umavushal shein mufurash. You're only going to get malchus on eating it raw and mavushal, meaning on that part of the pasuk, because that's explicit in the pasuk. The generalization which comes to include those specifics for that, you don't get malchus according to Abaya. And so the Gemara now says, we should say, Leima Abaya diyamar Rav Yehuda. Let us suggest that Abaya holds like Rav Yehuda. V'Rava damar Rav Huna, and Rava says like Rav Huna. And Rashi explains, Abaya Rav Yehuda. Abaya will follow Rav Yehuda. Again, Abaya here is saying, you don't get malchus on lav shebechlalos, and that's like Rav Yehuda, who says that ki nefesh uchovel really just means other things. It doesn't mean to add on a lav to rechaim and rochav, as Rashi over here says, dehecha do'avar al haklal v'al haprat, meaning the idea is if a person violates the general and the specific, vein shnein belav echad, and they're really two things in one lav, lo loki aklala, you're not going to get malchus on that additional generalization, and that's essentially what Rav Yehuda said, and that's what Abaya says when he's saying lav shebechlalos, and once we say that Abaya is like Rav Yehuda, so Rava is going to be like Rav Huna. The Gemara says not necessarily. Amar loch Rava will say to you, Anodi amri afilu Rav Yehuda, I can even follow what Rav Yehuda says, meaning even though Rav Yehuda says by ki nefesh uchovel that it doesn't add on a lav by the case of the millstone, but still, ad kan lo kamer Rav Yehuda hasam ela de chi nefesh uchovel lo mashma rechayim v'rechev. The reason why Rav Yehuda said it over there, he only said it over there because the pasuk of ki nefesh uchovel doesn't automatically imply rechayim v'rechev. Hilkach l'shar devarim hudasa, therefore it must be coming to include other items, other vessels of ochel nefesh. Aval hacha, but over here, ki im tzliesh, when it says ki im tzliesh that it has to be roasted, l'mayasa. So what is that pasuk coming for? Shma mino lalav, it must be coming to say this extra lav. Rashi explains, Ad kan lo ka'amar Rav Yehuda hasam. Rav Yehuda only said it over there, meaning the lo mahani ki nefesh lo sofe lavi yaseir rechaim v'rochev. Meaning Rav Yehuda says that ki nefesh doesn't add on a lav, an extra lav, when it comes to rechaim and rechev. Elamishum de ki nefesh. The reason for that is because ki nefesh demar bishar devarim, because it's including other things. Ilav dechsiv be. If not for the fact that it was written lo mishtami le me rechaim v'rochev, you wouldn't learn that from rechaim and rochev. To have amina hanach dafka, I might have thought there's only a violation by rechaim and rochev. Meaning to say, if it just said Rechaim and Rechev, I would have limited it to Rechaim and Rechev. And so therefore you do need the pasuk to say this idea of Ki Nefesh Uchovel to include other things. Hilkach L'shar Devar Masa, that's why it's coming for other things. V'lo Sishti and Nami Ahani Demeforish, Lav Didu Latfuye Lav, you're not going to also add it on to Rechaim and Rechev because it's coming to include something. Aval Hacha, but over here, Lav L'Tifuye Lavi Ano Mevushal Asa. If you're not going to use it to add on negative commandments for not in Mevushal, so then so what is it coming for? There's nothing else to add. There's nothing else that's not included in non-mevushal except for roasted. Denesi lazuri, that we can't be adding on any warnings. Denesi lazuri lavalayu v'yashmin and mitzvah sli. Now, if you're going to say the point is to teach us there's a mitzvah to roast it, that we already know. There's another pasuk that says tzli eshu matzah. So it already says that it has to be roasted, so it can't be for that purpose. So there is no additional lav, meaning additional items, and therefore we would just add on the lav. That's the basic idea. Therefore, we would just add on the lav when it comes to Karban Pesach. That's why Rava says, really, Rev Yehuda would agree with me that in a situation, let's say, for example, a person eats it na, you're going to get 2 sets of malchus, you're going to get na, and also because of ki im tzli esh. And the Gemara continues, via Abaya Amar Lach. Now, Abaya also can say to you, it's not necessarily the same machlokas. Ano diamri afilu Rav Huna. I go even like Rav Huna. Meaning, even though Rav Huna said that when it says ki nefesh uchovel, it does add on a lav, but that's not necessarily going to be true in this situation by Karban Pesach. Because ad kan lo kamer Rav Huna hasam. Rav Huna only said it over there. Ela de ki nefesh uchovel. He said it only over there by ki nefesh uchovel. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Zayin Amud Aleph.